What if the person who hurts you the most is someone you once trusted completely? What if betrayal doesn't come from enemies, but from someone sitting right beside you? And what if love doesn't stop, even when it knows betrayal is coming? There is a moment in the Gospel of John that feels heavy with emotion, even before a single word is spoken. The room is quiet. The disciples are gathered around the table with Jesus. Just moments earlier, he had washed their feet, an act of humility that turned their understanding of leadership upside down. But now something shifts. The atmosphere changes. Jesus becomes troubled in spirit. This isn't just a passing emotion. It's deep. It's personal. It's the weight of something he has carried within him for a long time, now rising to the surface. And then he says it plainly. Very truly, I tell you, one of you is going to betray me. The words fall into the room like silence after thunder. No one speaks right away. The disciples look at one another, confused, uncertain, searching for answers in each other's faces. Who could it be? That question hangs in the air. Because betrayal in their minds would come from outside, not from within this circle. Not from someone who had walked with Jesus, learned from him, shared meals with him. But that's the reality. Betrayal often comes from close, from places we least expect. Peter, unable to stay silent, signals to another disciple, the one leaning close to Jesus, to ask him who he is talking about. There's urgency in Peter's gesture. He needs to know. The disciple leans in and quietly asks, "Lord, who is it?" And Jesus responds in a way that is both revealing and yet still hidden. "It is the one to whom I will give this piece of bread when I have dipped it in the dish." Then he takes the bread, dips it, and gives it to Judas. Judas, one of the 12, one who had been there from the beginning, one who had seen the miracles, heard the teachings, experienced the moments that others could only imagine. And yet, it is him. What makes this moment even more striking is not just that Jesus identifies Judas, it's how he does it. In that culture, offering bread like this was a gesture of closeness, of honor, of friendship. Jesus doesn't expose Judas publicly. He doesn't shame him. He doesn't push him away. He offers him a piece of bread. Even in the moment of betrayal, there is still love. After Judas takes the bread, something shifts. John writes that Satan entered into him. It's a sobering line. Not because it removes Judas's responsibility, but because it reveals the depth of what is happening. This is not just a human decision. It's a moment where darkness takes hold, where a choice is fully embraced. And Jesus, knowing this, says to him, "What you're about to do quickly." There is no resistance, no attempt to stop it. Jesus is not surprised. He is not reacting. He is allowing it. Because even this act of betrayal is part of a larger purpose. The others at the table don't understand what is happening. Some think Jesus is telling Judas to buy what is needed for the feast. Others think he is being sent to give something to the poor. No one realizes the weight of the moment. No one sees clearly what is unfolding right in front of them. And maybe that's another truth we can't ignore. Sometimes the most significant moments in life happen quietly, without full understanding, without immediate clarity. Judas takes the bread, and then he leaves. And John adds a simple, haunting detail. And it was night. Not just the time of day, but a reflection of what is happening spiritually. Darkness is taking over. A decision has been made. A path has been chosen. And there is no turning back. This moment forces us to confront something difficult. Because Judas is not a distant figure in a story. He represents something we all wrestle with. The capacity to walk close to truth and still turn away. The ability to hear, to see, to experience, and yet choose something else. It's easy to ask, how could he do it? But maybe the more honest question is, what led him to that point? Judas didn't start as a betrayer. He was chosen. He followed. He believed, at least in some way. But somewhere along the path, something shifted. Maybe it was disappointment. Maybe it was unmet expectations. Maybe it was a desire for something different than what Jesus offered. Or maybe it was something more subtle, a gradual drift, small compromises, quiet decisions that seemed insignificant at the time, but slowly moved his heart in another direction. Because betrayal rarely happens all at once. It builds, layer by layer, choice by choice, until one day the distance is too great to ignore. And yet, even in this moment, Jesus does not respond with anger. He responds with clarity, with purpose, with a kind of peace that doesn't come from circumstances, but from knowing the bigger picture. He knows what is coming, the arrest, the trial, the cross, and still, he moves forward. This is not weakness, this is strength of a different kind. The strength to stay the course, even when it leads through pain. The strength to love, even when that love is not returned. The strength to remain faithful, even when others walk away. And this is where the story turns back to us. Because betrayal is not just something we read about, it's something we experience. Sometimes we are the ones who have been hurt, let down, disappointed by someone we trusted, and those moments can leave deep marks. They can make us question, close off, protect ourselves in ways that keep others at a distance. But then there's another side we don't always like to face. Sometimes we are the ones who drift, who compromise, who choose something easier over something true. Not in dramatic ways, but in small, quiet decisions. Moments where we know what's right, but choose something else. And over time, those choices shape the direction of our lives. The story of Judas is not just about betrayal, it's about the condition of the heart, about the importance of staying aligned. Not just outwardly, but inwardly, because it's possible to be close to truth and still be far from it. It's possible to look like everything is fine on the outside while something is shifting on the inside. That's why this moment matters. It reminds us to pay attention, to be honest with ourselves, to ask where we are, not just physically but spiritually. Are we moving closer to the light or slowly stepping away from it? And here's something else we can't overlook. Jesus knew. From the beginning, he knew. And yet he still chose Judas. He still walked with him, still taught him, still washed his feet, still offered him bread. That kind of love is difficult to understand, because it doesn't operate the way we expect. It doesn't withdraw at the first sign of failure. It doesn't give up easily. It remains. It gives opportunity after opportunity, but it also respects choice. Judas was not forced. He was not controlled. He was given space to choose, and he chose his path. That's both sobering and important, because it means our choices matter, not just the big ones, but the small ones too. The ones no one else sees, the ones we justify, the ones we think don't make a difference. They shape us. They move us closer or further. And the good news is, the story doesn't end here. Even in the face of betrayal, Jesus continues forward, toward the cross, toward redemption, toward a love that would reach far beyond this moment. Because betrayal, as painful as it is, does not have the final word. Love does, faithfulness does, purpose does. So wherever you find yourself in this story, whether you've been hurt or whether you've recognized areas where you've drifted, there is still an invitation to return, to realign, to choose differently. Because it's never just about one moment, it's about direction, about what we choose next. Judas walked into the night, but the light was still there, still present, still available, and it still is, right now, in this moment. A quiet invitation to stay, to trust, to follow, even when it's difficult, even when it costs something. Because the path of Jesus is not always easy, but it is always meaningful, and it leads somewhere greater than we can see. Thank you for taking this time to reflect on this powerful and challenging moment. If this message spoke to you, don't forget to like the video, follow the channel for more reflections like this, and share this message with someone who might need it today.